Gary, one of the elements that you really liked from last weekend, you felt that despite the result with the performance, particularly second half, you had the momentum still from the previous games. Have you been able to take that into the training this week?
Yeah, I think so. I think we said it after the game, didn't we, about performance levels, and even in the first half where we weren't pressurising the certain areas which was causing us a problem. And didn't deal with that early enough. We still performed well from a defensive point of view. We were still defending our box with attitude and organisation and stuff like that. So I was pleased with that element. But then, second half obviously it was more what we did with the ball. I thought, the standard performance was really good, and that's kind of what you're looking for. Yeah, results is king, and we know that. But I think what you're trying to do in these type of situations is look for a higher level of performance. I said that after Reading and obviously Lincoln, where performance levels weren't where they needed to be. So the last 3 games, performance-wise, overall has been a much better level and much more what we need, and knowing that you entrusted now that that's going to get you the results you need. So we do need to improve, of course. But at least you've got something you can all buy into and feel and see, do you know what I mean? And players need to feel that. So I think from the last weekend they do feel that. So that's where you don't lose any confidence. So we've been lucky this week. It's a full week for us to prepare, which is good again. And that'll be our last week. We can really spend a lot of time on the training ground and then, again, do that work like we did in the international break and try and take that into these remaining games.
Yeah, so having that basis. With Charlton, clearly they've got a lengthy unbeaten run, but quite a few draws in there.
Yeah, but then again, it's another team like typical of the league. I know Nath very well, and looking at that squad, it's kind of a squad that you wouldn't expect them to be in the position that I think it sort of belies where they are really are in the league. So they're really, I know we say it every week, but these are difficult opponents. It'll be a tough game. They're very much in Nathan's mould where they're energetic and they're front-footed and they're aggressive. So we're going to have to deal with that. But like I said before, it's put our stamp on it as well, what we need to do. So expecting a really tough game. They should be a lot higher in the league with the squad that they have. And I know Nath's rectifying quite a few things, and they're definitely on a good run of form. So that all marries well for hopefully what will be a good game.
Yeah, so you feel over the period of time he's been there, you can start to see it looking like one of his teams?
Yeah, for sure. And definitely since this run of form they've had, and I know what Nath's like. So you can see that within his team, and you can definitely see that at this moment. And in the run of form they had, so we're under no illusions how difficult the game's going to be. But they're all going to be tough. Like I said before, there's going to be ups and downs. But if we can push our level like we are doing, put our game on the pitch as strong as theirs, it should bode well for a good game. But ultimately, is what we're all trying to do is get the right result for ourselves.
Let's do the team news. Ryan Bennett, half-time in the Blackpool game coming off. What's his situation for this weekend?
No, he's fine. He's obviously back in training like normal this week, so available and ready to play.
With central defence, suddenly becomes quite interesting in that Zeno Rossi coming on and I assume doing all you could have wanted from him, really. Yeah,
definitely. And I've spoke about Zeno before. Really, the big picture with Zeno is moving forward as well as the here and now. So, it's probably an area of the pitch where we do have options. Obviously, Gibbs as well, who hasn't played so much, but a bit unfortunate with that in terms of when I first came in, not being available, and then obviously the international break when he was away and the work we did. So being a bit unfortunate with that, but I see potential with him as well. So it's probably one of our strongest areas in terms of like having options. It's just. But that's a good thing as a coach, having difficult decisions to make, and we'll see what we do for not just this weekend, but the games coming up as well.
Yeah, with Job as well, Okadina, Zeno Rossi, you're talking about players at one end of their career, and I guess for you coming in, assessing their potential and what you think they might be ultimately. Yeah,
and there's also the dynamic of the where we are in the league and what we need to do and what we need to try and achieve. It's always difficult decisions between experience and inexperience, but then capabilities. But I think I've said it clearly. I'm always one that I'm not really care for that. I just care about are you at a level where you can deliver what's needed to be delivered. So Job has obviously done that in his games, and Zeno when he's come on and done it has done that as well as Ryan and Morrow, and obviously Gibbs has been in a more unfortunate position. So yeah, it's great to have that competition in there, and it's like I said, it's probably our strongest in terms of options within each area of the squad.
And good news with Michael Morrison in that he's got this knock, but actually when you have someone like Zeno coming in and pushing, it just makes life easier for everyone.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So like, those are the areas where it's great to have that sort of quality, waiting in the wings, ready to show what they can do. So we don't have that in every single area. So we're probably, like I said, lucky in the sense if anything happens in that area, we've got good quality to come in. So it's always difficult decisions then. that's the flip side of it. But I'd rather have difficult decisions than not.
You mentioned last week with both Michael Morrison and Lyle Taylor probably, or certainly in the case of Lyle, not going to be available this weekend. Is that still the case?
Yeah, that's still the case, unfortunately. As I said, it's kind of like you want as many options at this period of the season as you can, but it is what it is. And those two will be, the plan is that they're back out in the trainings next week. And if all goes well over the weekend, and then looking to be back involved from next week onwards.
We've had news this week on contract situation for some of the younger players. With you new in through the door, just talk us through how that process has worked from your perspective, in that presumably you've had to rely on quite a lot of guidance from elsewhere.
Yeah, of course, that's not normal, isn't it? I've been in a short space of time and haven't seen a great deal of those players, but it's not just about this period or even the season. That those type of decisions are accounted for over a period of time, it's always the one with young players, and when decisions like that, been through it myself, and I've obviously been on this side of it where you're making decisions and stuff like that, or part of the decision making process. Really difficult decisions to make. But I think for any young player, that as a club, you try and make the right decision, not only for the club but for the the player themselves. Do you know what I mean? I know that it doesn't feel like it at the time, but unfortunately, this is the part of the business that you have to make decisions. And unfortunately for young players, is you either earn a contract or you don't. That's just the brutality of football. But I think what you try and do is do it with the right intentions, and being in those discussions and listening to what, not just the coaches, but everyone around the club that's involved with that process, listening to like the feelings and stuff like that. You always try and come to the right decision, for the club. And then what you hope actually is for those players that, and the support you try and give them around it, is that it's not the end of the road. I think it's not that you're not good enough. It's just this moment in time where you're at is not quite right for what you need. Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you can't go somewhere and continue your journey and prosper. So I've always said that to young lads. A decision's made on you, and same with these lads that have had a decision. It doesn't mean their journey's over. And what you hope is that they go on and kick on. And sometimes young players need a new environment. Do you know what I mean? That can happen. I've seen that. Do you know what I mean? I've kind of been part of it myself, where I was doing all right in an environment but not quite getting enough, and go to a totally different environment. It's the right time. Do you know what I mean? A lot of it's timing as well. So we wish those players really, really well. But unfortunately, that's just part of what you have to do.
Just to pick out Kaya, an England age group international, star of the FA Youth Cup run from last season, youngest ever senior goal scorer for the U's. With him, is it a case of the club feeling he's not quite the right fit, or I suppose there's always an element where the player can decide they want to do something different as well?
Look, there's always that dynamic that both. Do you know what I mean? It's a mutual decision, isn't it? Like you have to come to. So, well, it doesn't always have to be mutual, but I mean, like it can be, or it can't be, and it could be one, it can be the other, it can be both together. But I think it's not just about talent. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and this has nothing to do with Kai, but like when talented players, it's just sometimes it's timing. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can be super talented and you might not do enough, or you might be unlucky, or do you know what I mean? It's a situation that you find yourself in. Obviously, I haven't seen a lot of Kai, only from what I've been in here and stuff like that. And in terms of first team decisions, you're trying to like pick players that you think are ready and can deliver in this situation. But it happens. Do you know what I mean? All I can say is, for being in quite a lot of those conversations when it's come to these decisions and hearing what everyone's speaking about, and then even my own view from the short space of time I've been with him, is like you try and make those decisions with the right intentions. Do you know what I mean? And always like, and of course number one is what's best for us. Do you know what I mean? That's just the nature of the beast. And then secondly is then, okay, well, you try and support that player when you've made a decision like that. And ultimately what you want as coaches is for them to go and find a path and prosper elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? And I truly hope all those players that go and prosper, and we see them in a couple of years' time, playing at a really good level and high level and kicking on. But even when that happens, a lot of times criticism's done where they're saying, oh, why did we leave them go? Or why did we do this and that? I've been in that situation. It's like sometimes they just need a different environment. Often when you've come through an academy and you've been there from a really young age and you come to a certain point, it's not quite happening for you, or you're not quite where you thought you would be or where we thought they would be. Sometimes that new environment is the release. Do you know what I mean? And there's no explanation behind that. It's just happens. So I'm hoping that's the case for these players. And I don't think that's something even in the future if one turned out to be unbelievable. It's not something really to be like beat with a stick about. It's like actually that's what you want to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just at this moment in time that's not going to happen quick enough for us where we need it to happen. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of complexity in decisions like that. But we wish those players, and I know it was only a short space of time with them, but wish them all the best. And the main part is that we'll support them. Do you know what I mean? Beyond this anyway, whatever they need, we can try and guide them and give them advice to, try and guide them in the right way.
And presumably for coaches, that whole process never gets any easier. And they're fantastic with youth development, seeing the players improve, but everybody knows this is part of it as well. Yeah,
it's when you come into the professional side of it, it is the nature of the beast, and it's not just at young levels. It's even sometimes making decisions on any players. Do you know what I mean? Senior players and. If you're middle player, young player like that, those decisions are tough. Do you know what I mean? It's the worst part of your responsibility in terms of making decisions on players and stuff like that. But it's just, they have to be made. Do you know what I mean? And you try and make them with the right reasoning and the right intention that's best, at the end of the day, that's best for the club. And unfortunately, some agree, some don't, stuff like that. But you have to understand from within, you're making decisions based on what you're seeing in front of you every single day. So, those decisions are made, and you have to live with it.
Brilliant, that's great for me.
Garry, you mentioned senior players' contracts there, the ones that are expiring this summer. Are you able to think about that at the moment, or is it just a case of until the job's done, that's not something you can really think about?
Honestly, I'm just like, I've not even, because I'm aware, but I've not really put any energy into that, just because I'm just looking at everyone's needed here and now and what we need to do. Do you know what I mean? And we've made some steps towards where we need to be, but we're not anywhere near where we want to be. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just being focused on these players are here. Do you know what I mean? This season for sure. Do you know what I mean? I haven't given it. I'm aware of it, of course, but I've not put any energy into that. I just want to focus on the guys here and get the guys to commit to what we need to do for the best of the club and for ourselves as well.
Yeah. And Swanee touched on Zeno there. Does he give you a different dynamic at the backs? I felt on Saturday when he come on, he was able to sort of bring the ball into midfield, almost give you another body in there. Does he give you a different dynamic perhaps to the other centre halves you've got going?
Yeah, they all got that, and I think that's probably the beauty of that. I said it's probably one of the strongest areas of the pitch we've got, because the other bit is we've got quite a different dynamic in there. Do you know what I mean? They are, all of them are slightly different players to each other and have different attributes. So that's great as a coach. Do you know what I mean? Because you think certain games might suit this and suit that, and ultimately the big picture is you'd love to have that type of options, won't you? Do you know what I mean? To do what you need to do. So of course he offers something different. He's a different type of player to the other ones we got, but then they're all kind of individual in that sense. But then you try and work them into a unit and way of playing and what their roles are within that. So he's done fantastic, Zeno, but I think that department's probably one of, if not our strongest, in terms of options and sort of variety. That's how I kind of feel about it.
Just a quick one. You talked about the time that you've had at this stage of the season. Normally it's quite frantic, 2 games a week and stuff. You had the international break and you've had this week to work with as well. How valuable has that been? Yeah,
well, like obviously I planned that. When that's coming. Like I said, with the 2 weeks, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And then this week I knew this was coming and know exactly what I want to do. And that's what we've been working on. And that's all you can do. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't guarantee you winning, but what you hope that helps, or what you kind of know from experience is that can help you with maintaining levels of performance and putting yourself in positions in games where we can get points. And that's really what I'm looking at, is the level of attitude, the level of determination and performance. Using this week to keep reaffirming that and work on the things we need to improve on and things that we're doing well to keep strengthening that. And then what you hope then is when it comes to Saturday and these remaining games that it comes out on the pitch. I said this before, the Barnsley game, didn't I, coming out exactly the same. So that's all you can do as a coach, and try and set it out for the players and then unleash them is the idea.
I like that word. Thanks very much.
Stephen?
Hi Gary. Hi Gary. Just,
there you are.
Hi. On Kai.
Hi, Steve.
It wasn't clear whether he was released or he turned down an offer to stay. Would you be able to say which one it was, or would you rather not?
No, I think the club released it, didn't they? They made it quite clear that the players that were released and the players that are being offered a contract, I'm pretty sure.
It was just on the statement that it said the players who will be leaving, so it's not
Okay.
clear whether they were released or whether
you can call it the same thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like the same thing, isn't it? Leaving or released or anything like that. I assume. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't in the actual conversations when the players were spoke to, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case.
Okay. Just on injury news as well, have you picked up any fresh injuries from the Blackpool game or over the week, or are you all good on that front?
No, we're all good. All good on that front. Just obviously there's Lyle and Morrow that we just spoke about, but they should be, yeah, well, they are. All goes well this weekend. They'll be back out on the training field next week, back in the trainings. So no other injuries at all.
That's good. And just on the relegation picture as well, you're obviously 5 points clear with 5 to go. Are you feeling confident about your chances of finishing the job and staying up?
Yeah, I always feel confident, but also really aware of, do you know what I mean, not fall into the trap of any complacency. I've said it from the very beginning, we need to take care of our own business. I don't really care for where the others are in the league and how many points we've got. Of course, I am aware of that, but I don't really care for it. I just care about us taking care of ourselves and getting as many points as we can. I've said that from the start. So, yeah, we can all, calculate how many points we think we would need, and of course, human nature. We're not, we're the same in-house, but really, I'm just trying to drive the players to perform, and there's 5 games left. I want to take as many points out of those 5 games. It's not just about getting that points and that's it. It's done. I want the mentality to be is that we push hard for performances that can give us an opportunity to win points in all of these last remaining games, and if we do that to the levels that we've done in the last 3 games, and hopefully even more, we'll have more than enough points to deal with the first point of call, which is remaining in a League One club, and then hopefully we can finish the season strongly.
That's great. Thanks, Gary.
Cheers, Steve.
Hi, Gary.
Yeah.
Quick question on Charlton, actually. You were talking earlier on about their revival under Nathan Jones, the fact they're one of the form teams in the league. They are going into this game 6 points ahead of you. Is it fair to call it a 6-pointer, given that you can close the gap on them if you win?
No, I think it's different for them. I think they're fine. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a case of, do you know what I mean, like coming up against a really tough team and knowing what we have to do to try and win these 3 points. All that is at stake in this game here is 3 points. It's nothing to do with 6-pointers or anything like that. It's 3 points. That's all we can do. That's all we can try and affect. At worst case is a point. So that's all we're focused on. What that means for other clubs and us and positions and stuff, I don't really care for. I just care for us trying to do everything we can to get that 3 points on Saturday, and doing it against, like you said, a really difficult game, tough opponent of quality, but doing it at home and trying to make sure that we're in the position to take 3 points.